Hello, friends. Have you ever wondered how one brilliant mind can change the world? Today, we dive into the mysterious life of Leonardo da Vinci and discover the secrets behind his genius. Leonardo da Vinci is one of the most mysterious figures in human history. Many myths and legends surround his name, making it difficult to separate fact from fiction. He was a prominent representative of the Renaissance, and many consider him the most outstanding engineer and scientist of his time, laying the foundations for much of modern knowledge. But is this truly the case? How original were his inventions, and how much were they reinterpretations of pre-existing ideas? Is it true that he encoded his notes? What was the character of this extraordinary personality who became the epitome of the universal man? This article will explore Leonardo da Vinci's groundbreaking developments, his three-dimensional drawings, designs for flying machines, submarines, and military technology, his relationships with young men, his work with corpses, his concept of the ideal human, and the artist's ironic hints. We will also consider his own reflections on how he felt he had offended God. Biography. Leonardo, the illegitimate son of 25-year-old notary Piero and 16-year-old peasant Caterina, was born on April 15, 1452. He didn't have a surname in the modern sense. Da Vinci indicated his birthplace, the town of Vinci near Florence. He received a good upbringing in his parents' home, but the Florentine Notary Guild did not accept illegitimate children, so Leonardo could not inherit the family business or attend university. Later, his detractors criticized him for his lack of formal education and his ignorance of Latin. To this, Leonardo replied, "How foolish people are! They are arrogant and boastful, adorning themselves with the achievements of others, not their own. Let them know that my knowledge is based not on the words of others, but on my own experience." At the age of 14, his father apprenticed him to the workshop of the famous Florentine artist Andrea del Verrocchio. There, he learned anatomy, mechanics, geometry, painting, and sculpting techniques through practical work, participating in the creation of commissioned and commercially sold items. Leonardo likely even posed for his master's works. A masterpiece of Leonardo and Verrocchio's collaborative efforts was the painting The Baptism of Christ, depicting John the Baptist and angels on the banks of the Jordan. The angel on the left was painted by Leonardo, using his invented technique of sfumato, blurring outlines to achieve greater realism. Leonardo's primary goal as a painter was to convey three-dimensionality on a flat surface, so that the image appeared voluminous and separate from the plane. At the age of 20, he qualified as a master in the Artists' Guild and opened his own workshop. However, in 5 years he received only 3 commissions, one of which he refused himself, and the other 2 he never completed. Biographers explain this by saying that he set himself incredibly complex tasks, and once he found a solution, he lost interest or switched to something else. Here are a few entries from his diary. To measure Milan and its surroundings. To depict Milan. Let a mathematician explain how to calculate the area of a triangle. Inflate a pig's lungs and observe whether they stretch in width and length, or only in width. Neither fees, nor huge fines, nor the respect of clients could induce Da Vinci to do unwanted work. For example, when Pope Leo X became interested in the fate of a commission, his envoys reported that the master had not yet started work, but had invented a varnish with which he would cover the painting after completion. According to one version, Da Vinci worked on the portrait of Lisa Gherardini, the wife of the merchant Francesco del Giocondo, from 1503, constantly improving it. The client never received the painting. In 1519, on the day of Leonardo's death, the Mona Lisa was still in his workshop. As a result, Da Vinci's artistic legacy is small. Only 15 finished paintings with proven authorship have survived to this day. However, these canvases are considered national treasures of the countries where they are kept. The painting Salvator Mundi, possibly only partially executed by the master himself, was sold at auction for $450 million. and the Mona Lisa is listed in the Guinness Book of Records as the painting with the highest insurance value, over $1 billion. Therefore, only millionaires can afford to buy any item from Leonardo's legacy. Engineering achievements. After the failures with his own workshop, Leonardo became an engineer for Ludovico Sforza, the Duke of Milan. To impress him, he developed or improved designs for fantastic war machines, such as a giant crossbow, a tank resembling a turtle, a prototype machine gun with 11 barrels, a submarine, a war chariot with scythes. The only military invention of Da Vinci at that time that gained recognition during his lifetime was the wheel lock, a mechanism for firearms in which the spark to ignite the gunpowder was created using a rotating wheel. After the plague epidemic in Milan, Da Vinci proposed a project for an ideal city with 2 levels, a ground level for life and pedestrian movement, and an underground level for canals, trade, and wastewater disposal. Although modern cities are built on a similar principle, Sforza did not appreciate this project. To study the anatomy of bird wings along with the pectoral muscles that move them, and to conduct a similar study in humans, to demonstrate the possibility of flight by flapping wings. The idea of human flight always fascinated Da Vinci. He created dozens of designs for flying machines. Leonardo accompanied a drawing of a person descending on a pyramidal parachute with the inscription, "If a person has a tent of starched canvas 12 cubits wide, he will be able to descend from any great height without danger to himself." Of course, all these projects were imperfect. The parachute lacked an opening at the top of the dome, necessary for stable descent, and the helicopter design did not take into account the effect of the torque of the propeller, which would rotate the lower part of the structure. The shape of the propeller was also not ideal. In 1502, Da Vinci took the position of military engineer. Here is one of his first tasks: create a leather waistcoat with a double layer on the chest, with a finger-width border on both sides. Before submerging in water, inflate the edge of the waistcoat through holes in the double border to be able to observe the surrounding environment underwater. For underwater swimming, Da Vinci invented supports for bridges and goggles. He also developed an underwater breathing apparatus from reed tubes connected by leather with steel rings, which prevented them from being compressed under water pressure. The equipment was complemented by a jacket, trousers, and a float. Legacy. Da Vinci's handwritten legacy consists of 7,200 pages of notebooks and diaries, now called codices. One of them, the Codex Leicester, was purchased by Bill Gates in 1994 for over $30 million. Initially, it was assumed that Da Vinci used a mirror writing method as a cipher, but it turned out that this was not the case. The lines can be read both with and without a mirror, and the inverted letters and numbers are a result of the peculiarities of the brain activity of left-handed people. Da Vinci was left-handed, which determined his specific handwriting and writing style. Personal life. Contemporaries describe Da Vinci as a man of exceptional beauty, strong build, with long golden hair, probably dyed, since a recipe for a dye to give hair a reddish-brown tint was found in his notebooks. Take walnuts and boil them in lye, dipping a comb into the decoction. Comb the hair and dry it in the sun. He carried himself with dignity, always dressed fashionably and brightly, even in adulthood preferring dark purple, red, and pink satin and velvet. Leonardo never married and had no children. But he was often seen in the company of attractive young men. At the age of 24, he and 3 other men were accused of sodomy with a 17-year-old youth. Homosexuality was a crime then, but Leonardo was lucky. An influential man close to the ruler of Florence intervened, and the case was closed. The artist concluded, "He who cannot curb his lustful desires equates himself to animals." Da Vinci seriously studied anatomy, dissecting corpses, and created over 200 drawings, detailing and describing each bone, muscle group, and internal organ. He believed that an artist should understand the structure of the human body from the inside, first the skeleton, then the muscles, the skin, and only then the clothes. If Leonardo had published his anatomical sketches, it would have significantly contributed to the development of medicine, but unfortunately, they only became known 400 years after their creation. In 1490, Leonardo found a treatise by the ancient Roman engineer Vitruvius. In the third book, he found a description of the ideal proportions of a man and illustrated it, inscribing the figure of a man with outstretched limbs in a circle and a square. He also corrected Vitruvius' calculations. For example, Vitruvius believed that the length of the foot is 1/6 of a person's height, and Leonardo, 1/7. He also changed the diagram, using the male genitalia as the center of the square, and the navel as the center of the circle. The Vitruvian Man, according to some researchers, is a self-portrait of Leonardo himself. Indeed, the artist created this drawing at the age of 30, and the depicted man looks about the same age. He has the same facial features as in the likely portraits of Da Vinci, and the artist himself hinted that he often depicted himself in his paintings. The last 3 years of Leonardo's life were spent at the court of his patron, King Francis I of France. The king provided him with generous support and a comfortable home. Da Vinci created a mechanical lion for the king, which walked during a performance and opened its chest, revealing a bouquet of lilies. Perhaps the paralysis of his right hand in the last 2 years of his life explains why he left works like the Mona Lisa unfinished. On April 23, 1519, he made his will, and died on May 2. His biography states that on his deathbed he repented for offending God and people, not devoting as much time to art as he should have.